Hello and welcome to the Sacral Circle, where we are healing sexual trauma collectively and lovingly. I'm your host, Janie Terrazas, and I'll be interviewing individuals from all walks of life who have had to face a sexual tragedy or abuse in one form or another and triumphed over their adversity. On every episode, a guest will deliver inspirational support, words of comfort, and empowering healing advice. They'll courageously share how their experiences impacted their lives and what led them to face and conquer the blockages that kept them from fully reconnecting to their inner power and divine sacredness. Be sure to subscribe to my podcast, The Sacral Circle. Just search Sacred Stories on iTunes. You can visit my website, janieterrazas.com, to learn more about my coaching and healing services. I want to thank our beautiful listeners for joining us today on the Sacral Circle, the self-love haven where we leave judgment at the door. And today I'm very excited to be with Diamante Lavendar. She is the author of 2 award-winning books entitled Breaking the Silence and Poetry and Ponderings. Her books are based on her life. They speak of finding hope and healing after abuse and loss. Diamante recently published her 3rd book entitled Finding Hope in the Darkness of Grief. She wrote this book after the death of her daughter a year and a half ago. Finding Hope in the Darkness of Grief is a book of poetry and prose. It also contains her award-winning art. Diamante's work is an exploration of the human soul. She writes to encourage hope and healing in those who read her stories. She believes that everyone should try to leave a positive mark on the world to make it a better place for all. Writing is the way that she's attempting to leave her mark one story at a time. Be sure to get connected with her through www.diamantelavendar.com. That's DiamanteLavendar. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You've written so many books. As a child, were you always into writing, or was this really something that started to happen to you as you started to go through your healing journey?
I've been writing my whole life. I started writing poetry when I was only 5 years old. I really enjoyed rhyming words together. It wasn't, it was primitive, obviously, because I was so little, but it was always a way that I chose to, or felt that I needed to express myself. So, and then as I grew older, I would write books for family members, when I was in elementary school, junior high type thing, and I would illustrate them. And I just always really loved to write and create art.
That's really beautiful. How will they be able to find some of your work, some of your drawings or paintings?
On my website, there's actually a tab for my art, and then there's a drop down of the different sites where my art is being shown. Fine Art America is definitely my most comprehensive site out of the sites listed. So if they visit those sites, they can see the Fine Art site. They will see everything I've ever created.
I'm looking at it right now, actually. This is beautiful. Interestingly enough, it's like a combination of sacred geometry, a lot of nature-based stuff, a lot of Native American influence. What's your background? And tell us a little bit about your name. First of all, I was telling her my favorite color is lavender, and I really love the word diamond and all the meaning behind diamond. So her name is Diamond Lavendar. So tell me about your name before we get into your incredible story.
Well, my name was kind of spiritually inspired. It took a while for me to get this name. One day I was sitting down reading with my daughter who passed away a year and a half ago, but this was when she was, 6 or 7 years old. And in the story, one of the characters was named Diamante, and felt God speak to me and say, use this name. It's what you were supposed to be writing under. And at that point, I didn't even know exactly what I was going to be writing. I knew I was going to be writing, and it just kind of evolved after that day. You know, when God steps in and things just kind of seem to line up in a certain direction. That's kind of what happened after my name was revealed to me.
That's really amazing too. And the fact that you were not only able to hear, but willing to listen. And were you around, growing up, were you around a lot of spiritual people to kind of help encourage
Not at all.
that?
No, not at all. I was in a completely unspiritual family. In fact, I myself was completely unspiritual until I would say my later 20s. It kind of happened after I lost my first child. Losing her catapulted me into the spirit realm in a way that could have never happened had she not come and gone so quickly out of my life.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? Was that during birth, or did you actually birth the baby and then she died at a young age?
I gave birth to her prematurely, and she only lived for 10 hours. And it was because of losing her that I was catapulted face to face with God or spirit, and it forced me to evaluate my life and to realize there is actually a spirit realm and that God actually exists. It was extremely harsh, but it was also my turning point.
I think it's pretty incredible too that at a time of loss like this was when you surrendered, even though there was still going to be a process post that and that you were still going to feel the weight of the pain. It was like you knew that it wasn't in vain, right?
Yeah, well, I was extremely angry, and I was a complete non-believer. I had been a drug user, an alcoholic, you name it, I had done it by that point in time. And when she was taken from me, I was so angry. I went through this process of anger, then acceptance and questioning, and why. Once the answer as to why was revealed to me, it helped me accept what had happened a little bit more. And then as the years went by, I came to a point of peace regarding that.
And, you know, I want to kind of go back to your childhood. You had mentioned you grew up in a very unspiritual home. And is this where any trauma and abuse started, was in your home, or was it just more they were just disconnected from spirit?
It was actually a number of my extended family members on both sides of my family. And what really, really hurt was the fact that a majority of the people claimed to be spiritual people, but harmed me in such horrible ways that I guess it jaded me towards the whole spirit realm, towards God, towards everything.
Yes.
You know, because I was growing up in this home around these people who went to church every Sunday, and they were doing these things to me, and it made me extremely angry. And I thought, well, if that's what God is about, forget it. You know?
That's so true. I hear this a lot actually on this show, where the person that was, you know, abusing them was well respected at the church. And so so it creates this story and this like impact on you and this confusion. And so it makes a lot of sense why people right now have a bad taste in their mouth, you know, when it comes to, say, religion. And this is why it's so important, these conversations that we're having is so important for us to kind of talk about, especially too the fact that you recognize your anger. You know what I mean? It's just like when you lost your daughter, you were angry. And then here it's like, you know what? I got angry at God even, because it's like, really, this is what you're about? These are what your people are about? I thought God is supposed to protect me, and here these people are hurting me. So you were getting abused through individuals from both sides of your family. Were these people much older than you? Were they close in age?
Much older. They were adults, and it started when I was 2 years old. And it was ongoing for over 10 years.
My goodness.
Numerous people, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And so did you ever say anything to anyone, or was it one of those kind of incestual things that were happening that people were just kind of turning a blind eye to? or that you would speak up and then they weren't listening to you? How did that sort of unfold?
Well, I was so young when it started that it was hard for me to verbalize. I had severe PTSD symptoms from the age of 2 on up, and I couldn't vocalize it. I didn't know how to explain it. As I got older, I think around the age of 6, I attempted to tell some of my immediate family members, and I was completely dismissed. What happened to me caused so many emotional and mental issues in me, even at such a young age, that I was kind of labeled as the black sheep, and it was kind of a thing where they didn't want to believe me. So I was alone with all of this angst and grief, and I just kind of grew up with it alone.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. And at what point did you realize, wait a second, I don't want to deal with this pain and suffering anymore?
I buried it so deeply after being dismissed for so many years that I just kind of let it eat me alive. And I want to say I was in my early 20s, probably 2021, when it finally dawned on me that not only was I victimized, but I was re-victimizing myself with, this, like, it being like a hamster on a treadmill day after day, stuck in these negative patterns. It took me quite a while to figure out that I was actually victimizing myself. Because of the negative behaviors and thought patterns and things that I was doing. So at that point, and that was about when my first child died. It was somewhere around that same area of time. So it just kind of, it took a while. It really did.
And what was the first type of healing modality that you sought out? Obviously, you had this really beautiful moment with God, and I'm sure that, like you said, that was when you really kind of started getting a little bit more connected into your spiritual walk. But what were the other things or tools that you used to help yourself?
Well, I started attending church. I literally knew nothing about spirit, God, any of that type of thing. Love, I really didn't know what love was. And I started going to church. I kind of jumped from church to church in the early years, and then I would, buy books, self-help books written by, I love Joyce Meyer. I think she's awesome.
She's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, books like that. And then I kind of, just really soaked them in and thought really hard about what I was doing. I found that spirit helped much more to heal me than counseling. I had been in counseling for years, and I'm not in any way trashing counseling by any means, but for me personally, this relationship with spirit, with God, was what really healed me, because I needed that love. I needed to feel that love.
Right.
I really liked my counselors. They were really good people, but it just didn't connect with me on the level that I needed connection, because it had started when I was so young that I felt so love deprived.
Yes.
When I got connected with spirit, it filled in that love gap that I was missing.
Yes.
In my heart.
It's a tenderness and a gentleness. I like to almost, like, if I were to attribute it to a symbol, let's say, it's you needed like Mother Mary energy to help you through it. So it makes so much sense, because when you do get connected in that way, you can feel the grace, and it's like a deep level of acceptance that you feel.
Yeah.
Like I was seeking energy healing. I was just seeking all different forms of things to kind of like help me, just immersing myself with as much information as possible. And even though all of these things really helped me, I do have to say that for the last year and a half, I've gotten like badass therapy through God directly. And I just don't know how much better it can get than that, because it's this deeper revelation to self. Do you agree?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yes. I'm very similar to you. I sought many different, healings, even gemstones, aromatherapy, all these different things, and nothing can replace that it's like you're a puzzle piece and spirit has the exact piece that will fit right into your heart, and you'll just go, oh, and that most definitely, I agree with you completely.
And I like that analogy because you're right. It gives you the keys that are shaped just perfectly to open the door or the closet or the box that's holding on to some phantom or some ghost or some darkness. But when it comes out, it's like you don't need to be scared because it's almost like God is showing you this stuff from like a 360-degree perspective. So there's just a deep understanding, I guess, that comes along with it, the way the information is shared. So anyway, I just appreciate you saying that. I think that's really beautiful that you had that for yourself. So I know that you just wrote a third book, and so you had another daughter that ended up passing. And as I'm looking at these pictures, is this her image in some of these photos? Because there's this beautiful girl here.
Yeah, she was not even 19 when I found her. It was heartbreaking. It still is heartbreaking.
Was she sick with something? Was it completely unexpected?
Well, there's some really weird stories associated with that too, as far as the spirit realm is concerned. She was born with a syndrome. She was a lot sicker than we realized. The doctors always told us she would be fine, and obviously she wasn't fine. However, her death still has a lot of mystery around it. We don't really know for sure what happened that day. I was the one who found her. We really don't know. We're just hoping and praying that the truth will be revealed as to what really did occur that day.
You obviously have worked through all this other trauma and the death of your first daughter. And so how was walking through this pain different, or was it the same?
I'm still walking through it. I think I'm walking through the pain of both of my kids. I probably will until I leave this earth. But this time around, because I've been through it before, it's a little bit different. I have a lot more faith this time. I believe we're going to find out what happened. I believe that it was her time, as much as I absolutely don't want to say that. It's different, though, because she was with me for almost 19 years, and I loved her. We were so close. My kids and I were always extremely close because we had that love relationship that I didn't feel like I had with my other family members because of the stigma that was placed on me regarding what had happened, with the abuse and everything. So losing my children has been extremely difficult for me because I'm losing that God-given key. I believe kids are God-given, and God blessed me with these children who I absolutely adore, and then they're taken away, and it just hurts on such a level, and it puts me in a position where I'm once again angry at God. Why are you letting this happen to me? Why?
At this point in your life, had you already been helping others through their journey? Had you already written your first book? I'm trying to figure out the time.
Yes. Both of my books, Breaking the Silence and Poetry and Ponderings. Breaking the Silence was published. Poetry and Ponderings was not published until after she passed away, but the entire manuscript had been written and edited, and we were just waiting for the publication date for Poetry and Ponderings. So it was very bittersweet because the daughter who did pass away just recently was one of my biggest cheerleaders. You can do this. You need to share your story. God used her to motivate me to have the gumption to be able to write these books because it was hard for me to do. And then it's just so surreal to me, the things that have happened.
And, you mentioned the word anger, angry. Rage is obviously something that we harbor inside when we're victimized, or in times like this where it's like devastating loss unexpectedly. How do you uh, process anger? What's your way of allowing you to release it? I know when we feel it, we don't want to shame ourselves for feeling it or feel guilty for feeling it. And it's like being aware of where we feel it in our body. But what is it that you do to kind of help you through the anger, get through the anger?
Well, my faith in God. I went through this whole process after my daughter left. I was so angry once again, but I realized it's important to acknowledge your feelings, to acknowledge your anger, to acknowledge your shame, your feelings of guilt and worthlessness. You have to acknowledge it, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to overcome it. And not only that, but acknowledging it allows God or Spirit to come in and start healing. So some people try to go around the issue and think it's bad to feel the anger, the shame, the guilt. They want to pour it on themselves, but in reality, it's something you need to acknowledge so that God can come in and help you heal. If you get stuck in the emotion, you're never going to be able to heal.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's why it's that the whole self-awareness, being aware of it is part of the acknowledgement. And then when you can accept it, then that kind of creates the space for allowing it to be purified, to be released, for God to sort of take it over. It's like you have to give the space for surrender. But I appreciate,
exactly.
right? You kind of have, but that is where people do get stuck sometimes because they don't want to see it for what it is. And you kind of can't heal it. It's like it must be revealed in order to be healed. And it's very courageous, for people to like go into that space. And it is important for us to kind of have this dialogue about not shaming when we feel these things, because then once again, it just remains in the body.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about the manner in which you're working with people, because I know that you help people through your books. I don't know if you also do like one-on-one coaching with individuals.
Actually, I have a day job. I kind of work in the evening, but I manage apartments. I have been doing this for over 20 years, and I find it really interesting. Tenants will come to me and talk to me and tell me about their issues. So not only am I making sure that their houses are repaired and in good condition, but they're coming to me with their hardship treasures.
Wow.
I say treasures, because it's something that a hardship is a treasure because you don't reveal it to just anybody. And the tenants come to me and pour their hearts out, and I listen, and through what I've been through, I talk to them and encourage them and try to inspire them. It's just been a theme throughout my life, of how things have happened with me and my job and this writing and just all of it.
It's incredible when we're able to turn our pain into purpose. And when we can see it, like you said, as a treasure that gives us the opportunity to connect deeply and empathize with other people, maybe that have been through the same thing. You're able to lend a healing hand and an ear to those that need it. And obviously people gravitate towards you for a reason. So it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful that, that you're open to stepping in to the role that you're being called to. Because a lot of people that have been through as much hardship as you have, they can easily just want to crawl under a rock and just wither away and just like fall into a deep, deep, deep depression. When you do feel those moments, like you said, your spirituality is always sort of a thing that you rely on. What does that look like? Is that like meditation? Do you go to church? Do you go outside, spend time in nature? Is it writing?
Basically all the above. I just believe in giving not only to people but to Mother Earth, because she sustains us. Without her, we're in deep trouble. I just try to give back. I write. I love nature, helping other people whenever I can. There are so many different things that I do to just keep me centered.
Mm-hmm. So I know you have your next book coming out currently right now. If anybody's interested in getting poetry and ponderings or breaking the silence, how could they get access to your books?
They can look online on my website, or both books are on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I believe they're both on Kobo. They're pretty much, I think they're both on Books A Million and Google Books too. My newest book, Finding Hope in the Darkness of Grief, is also now available on all those sites as well.
And you have so much beautiful artwork, and I highly recommend people also check out what's available.
If they go to my art site, which is www.diamante-lavendar.pixels.com. Everything that I've created is there, and they can buy paintings. It's in a variety of different, like bedspreads, shower curtains. There are all different types of things. They make it a lot of fun, for the artists to go on and just upload it into different products. It's a lot of fun because then you can see how it would look, as a pillow or a notebook or, a variety of things.
I mean, really, whatever your taste is, there's a little bit of everything here, and I'm sure something will speak to your soul. It's just beautiful. You are beautiful. And I want to thank you for your transparency and for taking the time. Actually, I want to thank your daughter, who was your cheerleader and your encourager. Have you had any experiences with her, being that you are so connected spiritually? Have you had any dreams or any experiences since she's passed where you had a chance to connect with her?
Every day. I actually am in the process of editing a book about exactly that as we speak. The book is called We Love. It's dedicated to my daughter, who she was, what she believed in, why it would be a good thing for us to take her advice, because she was actually very wise and very loving and forgiving and accepting. Yeah, the stories in that book are going to be very true stories that have happened to me, to my other child who is still here with me, about her visiting us, the ways that she's communicating with us. It's every day. She definitely wants us to know she's still around. She's very alive and well and is definitely watching over us.
Mm-hmm. To go through as much as you've been through, to be able to give back in the way that you do, and to have not lost yourself in the darkness, and to use your beautiful creativity to write poetry and books and these beautiful paintings that speak to people's hearts and souls. You're definitely, you've dialed into your power, your passion, and your purpose. So thank you for being a brave soul, and thank you for being a part of the Sacral Circle Sisterhood.
Thank you very much. It's my hope that I believe everybody is here for a purpose and a reason. And I hope that the work that I do will inspire people to find that purpose and that reason and to use it, because we are all needed. Every single person, every single animal, every tree, everything on this planet is needed. And I think, people need to be reminded of that, and they need to go through the process of seeking to find their purpose. And, what a beautiful place it would be if everybody would live and use their time and energy to fulfill their purpose and their destiny. There could be nothing more beautiful,
Yes, I envision that at least once a day. Just all be one big happy family, which is the way it's intended to be, right? Just one big happy family. Yeah. I know it sounds so cheesy and cliche, but I really do believe that is possible, and one day we'll get there, and it really does start with us. So anytime I meet another human being that is doing the work and honoring their sacredness. I'm always, very grateful. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes, again, check out her website. You can go to diamantelavendar.com. And she had mentioned her other website where her artwork is. And you can also connect with her on her social media page. And I want to thank our beautiful listeners for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the Sacred Stories podcast on iTunes, where you'll find other impactful, inspiring shows. Connect with me via our social media pages. You'll find us at the Sacral Circle. Your shares and likes are greatly appreciated because they help spread the love. As we say goodbye, always remember to know your worth and continue to love and value yourself wholeheartedly. Peace be with you.